thought I'd come on here real quick and make one of my potions. This is one of my oldest ones, and I'm not going to have a camera today because I want you to see it. But this is the very first potion that I ever created, and it's basically my mental clarity potion. Now, this is the first time that I've been able to make it the ideal way that I've wanted to, with like the almond oil specifically, etc., etc. But I did add a couple of new things to it, but yeah, this is pretty much how it's gonna go. Let's see. The only new stuff that I'll be adding is the cedar, the coffee, and the cloves, and I think the dillweed. Yeah, the dillweed is new as well. But everything else was the original potion. So I'm going to start off with some oil, and like I said, it's almond oil. And I couldn't find any big bottles of it, so I had to buy multiple little bottles. So I'm just going to pour this in there. Let that drip off. I'm gonna start with the almonds. I got 5 for breaking free from being stuck. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened. It just stopped on me. I think it was because that calendar stupid ass notification. But I don't know if you heard, but I got 5 almonds for breaking free and change of that mental block or confusion or whatever. And almonds bring about wisdom anyway, so I just poured in some almond oil, and I'm gonna put these in. My roommate's not here right now, but he does have his TV on. I don't know why he does that. It's really weird. It's not bad, but it's just kind of funny. So I have that there, and I'm going to put in. Actually, I'm going to enchant this first. So now I'm going to add just a pinch of cedar. And y'all, this cedar is like in the area where you can buy for like your closet stuff or the wardrobe. Actually, I'm gonna add a couple of pinches. Oops, I'm making a mess. And then I'm going to enchant this as well. And this is also paying homage to my patron. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna add some rosemary. I do have some rosemary that I harvested, but it's still drying. So we're just gonna add some of this. And this is for memory specifically, and also focus. So this is for mental clarity, for focusing, but it also can help with the memory. Gonna add, I know this is saffron, but the saffron came in a little vial in here, and so I just put in some of the sunflower seeds just so it's a little easier to manage. And sunflower seeds are good for hearing one's wishes. I have some black mustard seed, and that just says it in Spanish. Got this from the Botanica. After all these years, I finally found black mustard seed. Y'all, it's much more challenging than you would think to find it in person anyway. Of course, you can order stuff online. Oh no, I spilled some. Now I'm gonna add the coffee. And this coffee also has vanilla in it, so I was gonna add vanilla, but since I added the coffee, I decided not to because it already has vanilla in it. So if you weren't to add the coffee, you could just add the vanilla or disregard both of them. And the vanilla is kind of like ease the mind, make it calmer and more receptive to this working, but also when you're stress-free, it helps you be clear as well. And the coffee is obviously like an activation. So I'm gonna add whole cloves. And this is more for a protective element. And now we're gonna add the dill weed, and this is primarily for focus. Alright. And the last thing we're gonna add is walnut halves, and I got this just because it's the closest thing to a whole walnut you could get, and I'm gonna only add 2 for the right and left hemispheres of the brain. These are broken. There's a true half. Pour these out, I can't see. Oh, here we go. Boom, 2 true halves. Perfect. Okay, so we'll just put these back. So, a walnut has always been, I don't know if this is anything you can find in books or whatever, but it's always been, to me, it's always been like the brain, well, the walnut is the brain, and then the other, the shell would be the skull. These are English walnuts, but I kind of pay the same thing with the black walnut. I just use it for a specific thing with the black walnut, whereas the English walnut could be like general head work, I guess. So I'm gonna hold one in the left hand, one in the right hand, and because I know that the right side of the body is controlled by the left side of the brain, and vice versa with the left brain, right body, I'm going to enchant that while focusing on that intention. And then I'm just going to bring them together and enchant further. And if you're wondering how I kind of did that, it was more like a crisscrossing of the chi flow. So I would feel the chi in my brain, and I would have it crisscross down into my arms. Okay. Now we're going to top it off with some more almond oil. No, we're going to add this magnesite. And magnesite is kind of like a meditation stone in a way. Here we go. Yeah, just had to get it for so it's good for purification, grounding the intellect, and opening the crown chakra. It's also good for meditation, visualization, and instilling peace. There are other things, but I'm going to only pull from those intentions. And I'm going to use quite a bit because I don't use this crystal very often. that in. And now we're gonna pour in the rest of the almond oil. Sorry, y'all. Perfect. I think I will pour in a little bit from the other bottle, though I will be using the rest of that in a different potion, so I'm really excited that 3 was what I needed for these works. Alrighty. So we'll keep that aside. Put this down. Whoops. And if you're wondering where I got this bottle from, this was a ketchup bottle. So, this is my mental clarity potion. Y'all, don't be discouraged if you can't find almond oil or whatever. You know, the first time I made this, I used olive oil, I believe. I mean, this was a few years ago, so pardon me, but I did use the sunflower seeds, and I did use the almond. I'm almost positive I used walnut, and I used rosemary. I think that was all I used. Let me look for that, my first book of mirrors. Oh, where did I put it? So, this is my first book of mirrors. I put some extra post-its because I was going through some of them, but let me find the potion real quick. Alright, so this is the original recipe. So it's rosemary, mustard seeds, almonds, sunflower seeds, walnuts, and olive oil. That was the original recipe that I wrote sometime in July or August, I'd say roughly within that time spectrum of 2015. So for the mustard seeds, I didn't have any seeds, so I used ground mustard. And like I said, I used olive oil because I didn't have almond oil. So that is perfectly fine. It's more about the intention. The herbs just help amplify the intention, but it's honestly the intention that activates it and makes it useful anyway. So I'm gonna let this charge and steep, and then I'll be using this potion on myself. So the things you can use this for, if you guys study for a test, which is one of the reasons why I want to make this, because I will be having some tests with some of the way my job goes. There's like ranking system, and you gotta do tests every now and then also for like my qualifications, there's some tests, and just to help have this on hand would be good. Also to be able to remember the things I'm doing and be focused when I'm doing it would be great. And then there's gonna be some things I want to do, you know, for myself, some like online classes or whatever, not necessarily college, but just to kind of have this and be able to focus on that as well. That'd be great. You can also anoint this on a yellow candle or whatever color you associate with the mind and focus for when you're doing studies. You can also anoint this on a, do I have it on here? I don't seem to have it. Oh, I have a fluorite. Oh, here it is. You can anoint a fluorite point. I actually have a spell called Point of Power, and you can anoint one of this and use it for that spell, which I'll do on a different day. Or you can use this in place of a candle. You can anoint this and have it and do like maybe like a crystal grid deal. And you'd want to have a a proxy here, so that way it could work for you. Or I guess you can, if you had a fluorite piece instead, you could anoint the fluorite piece and keep it on your person. You of course just anoint it on the temples or on the forehead. If you're wanting to work different parts of the brain, you could, well, I guess you could have a skull candle, a yellow skull candle, and you can work it that way. So if you're wanting to focus, maybe put it on the front of the brain or skull. If you're wanting to work with a memory, put it in the back of the skull, or left or right for other things that I can't think of right now. Maybe if you're wanting to work more of the left side of the brain, then you'd put on the left side of the skull, in accordance to the skull facing you. So it would look like you're right, but it would be the skull's left side. And if you're doing it on the right side, it would look like you're left, but for the skull's angle, it would be the right side. And that would be because, how am I gonna describe this? I don't have any skulls with me. So think of this as the front of the skull where the teeth, eye sockets, and nose are. This would be the back where memory is, front for focus and consciousness. And then this would be the left side of the skull, right side of the skull, or for left and right hemispheres of the brain. Or of course you can just anoint it on yourself, as I said earlier. So that's some ways in which you can use this potion. You could probably use other crystals too. Or if you don't have crystals, you can use stones. If you have a yellow stone, you can use that. You can anoint this on walnuts and treat the walnut as like your head and skull and brain, and you can anoint it that way. I don't have it with me because it's packed, but I used to have a whole black walnut, and I would actually put my Mercury retrograde potion on it to avoid the adverse mind effects that the retrograde causes. So yeah, that's just some tips of what you can do. I hope this serves you well, and as always, abundant and eternal blessings. Mwah.